Good evening and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson and of course I'm sitting down with Techy-Joe. And tonight's Mountain Bears, where we get gayish, you're already there, bearish, we've been there, stronger coffee. So
All
let's
right.
dive in.
All right. So NASA has been on high alert as two massive asteroids, 2024 SD3 and 2024 SR4, are set to pass by Earth on October 3rd. The asteroids are being tracked by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL. So let's see. So SD3 is 68 feet in width. And it will make a close flyby Earth at a distance of 1,490,000 kilometers.
Yep.
So yeah.
I don't know, I think we're going to start seeing this more problematical. I mean, because we're into this area of space where we've been before with a lot of asteroids. We've got the second moon for another, 3 weeks?
I think so, something like that. Yeah. It almost feels like we're a repeating story. It's another asteroid right near us.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Now SR4 is a little smaller at 51 feet. And it will make its closest approach to Earth on the same day and will fly at a distance of 1,670 kilometers.
Right.
So yeah, there's no massive threat of proximity.
Well, there's a massive threat if it gets in the mood. Gravity hits it the right way. We got a solar windstorm knocking that rock right on down and hitting into the ocean. We might have a new boulder problem.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Cameron.
Hi, Cameron. How are you, darling?
I mean, maybe. NASA always wants to track these things. It's good to know where they are in space.
Yes.
We don't really want them landing on our doorstep. That would suck.
Exactly. And we don't need another moon or, another lovely pool of water at the top of one of the mountains. We've got enough problems with water right now.
Hey, fair enough.
We get Helena. We got another tropical storm bearing in.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Helena.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, fun outside article. Did Hurricane Helena really destroy 1/3 of the Appalachian Trail? Our hiking columnist phoned up experts along the iconic pathway to get a sense of the destruction left by Hurricane Helena. So, yeah. So on Tuesday morning, 3 days after Hurricane Helena ravaged swaths of the southeastern United States, I began making calls to old friends and hiking experts who live along the Appalachian Trail. I'd seen the drone footage of Hot Springs, North Carolina, a place I called home for years, and one of the few towns the 2,200-mile hike or a mile trail bisects via sidewalk, drowned in the brown waters of an incoming creek and the mighty French Broad. I had seen images of the collapsed bridge in Irwin, Tennessee, which leads just past one of the trail's famous hostels and from one sweeping ridge line to another. And I'd seen the curving creekside highways near Damascus, Virginia, one of the trail's spiritual epicenters, cracked in pieces like overcooked pecan brittle. I had seen reports of the 220 dead and many more missing. Communities of longtime friends were entirely marooned, and little towns I'd cherished as a lifelong Southerner were ripped open like wet cardboard boxes. So, yeah, basically got into the idea that there's a lot of devastation along the Appalachian Trail. So 1/3 of this trail is destroyed. A TikToker named Talking with Strangers 2 said in a video that had gone viral by Wednesday. Using a map of the Appalachian Trail as her green screen, she speculated about the devastation. This catastrophic storm is actually going to change the map of North Carolina and Tennessee, the actual topography. But my phone calls yielded a surprise, as best as anyone can tell right now. The claims of complete destruction aren't true either for the Appalachian Trail or for the half dozen other long distance trails that radiate through the lower reaches of some of the world's oldest mountains. So misinformation and assumptions based on that request and then broadcast for TikTok likes made a bad situation.
I'm seeing a lot of.
Pardon?
I'm seeing a lot of TikTok BS. Like, we have apparently been blown off the map.
There are areas that's not untrue.
Yeah, there are areas that's not untrue. Like Butcher Bottom, I am quite sure is gone. Like, I've seen the pictures. It was, of course, that road was already going into the river when I was driving it for 2 years. I'm sure there's a lot of devastation. I am sure that there is a lot of people that are still living without anything.
Well, and that may be true in the immediate after.
Right.
Like, and it's, there's a reality that,
Right.
like, when you start talking about trail systems,
Mm-hmm.
there's an understanding that these are living, breathing mountains.
Right.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to downplay the devastation to the communities experiencing it. Okay.
Right.
That devastation is what it is.
Right.
The realities, though, for the mountain and the trail system is that can all recover.
Right.
And some of this is to be expected. It's a constantly changing environment.
Right.
You know, you're going to have, you know, rock slides, landslides, tree falls, massive fires, you name it.
Right.
This has all occurred before. Would potentially parts of the trail become inaccessible or impassable? Yeah.
Yeah. Until it's rebuilt or it's rerouted, which, you know,
and that's not
trails by nature.
Right. And it's not going to be our biggest priority.
No. Our biggest priority right now is getting the people off the mountains, out of the valleys, out of the hollers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Help them dry off, clean up, get their personal lives back in some semblance of order.
Right.
And then we can start talking trails.
Right. And then we can start talking Airbnbs, which there's a woman who has made a full TikTok series on demanding her refund for her vacation that has, like, sent me into outer space. And then we have the other side of this, which is freaking ridiculous, and it's agencies that I'm sure they're meaning good, but it's like, get a grip. You know, like one of the largest shelters in Northern Carolina that's housing people that don't have homes anymore.
Oh, thanks, Cameron. We're glad you could catch us live.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Brenda saw that one.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, it should be posted. This is a quote. It should be posted that on 4 miles of this 2,200-mile trail, there's a lot of devastation. It's 4 miles of flood devastation like I've never seen before. Warren Doyle, a longtime Appalachian Trail expert, and the person who's hiked the Appalachian Trail more than anyone else ever, told me Wednesday afternoon. Doyle's estimation takes in the stretches that pass through the towns hit the hardest along the trail, but that doesn't mean you close the whole trail down, he said. The same seems to hold for the 286-mile Benton-McKay Trail, which takes an alternate path through the Appalachians. Nothing out of the ordinary, branches, limbs, and a few blowdowns. The president of the Trails Association, Bob Caldridge, told me late Wednesday of the trail's southern half. He hopes to get eyes on the rest of it within 2 weeks. And again, even the experts, even the people who have responsibility for this are like, it's a priority.
Right.
Not our biggest one at the moment, nor do we think it's destroy.
Exactly.
Like that's an extreme, like, yeah, there's going to be trees down. There's going to be some flood damage. There's going to be some mud.
Right.
There's going to be some rocks. Now's probably not a good time to go hike it alone. Just if you needed that information.
You go hiking on the Appalachian Trail alone. That's one of the reasons I never done, because I couldn't find someone to do it.
Generally no.
Yeah. But, we have a lot of like things like this going on, and then we have stuff that makes no sense to me. You have the largest shelter in Northern Carolina. The health department, you have people that have been walking through flood water. For those that don't know what flood water is, you go get a bucket. You throw a lot of sewage waste in it. You throw a lot of trash in it, and you stir it up, and you throw in some mud and sticks.
Oh, it's even worse than that.
Yeah.
It's even worse, and especially in North Carolina, and especially one of the communities that was hit, I can tell you for sure. There's stormwater runoff.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have all of your existing wastewater treatment that may have overexceeded, like your sewage treatment facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the sewage that has flooded out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have all of the industrial chemicals, as well as industrial runoff, as well as whatever buildings this got into and whatever it wiped off of it.
Right.
Then you have all the car fluids,
Mm-hmm.
because all those cars they picked up and slammed.
Mm-hmm.
All the fluids are leaking out of those.
Right.
Then you have mud and sticks, and
right.
It's a toxic stew, and you don't know what all it contains.
Right.
So yeah, floodwater as
right.
Rescue the dog, rescue the child. I'm not saying don't do it because the water's just so nasty, but be prepared. That water is nasty.
Right.
Don't go swimming.
Right. So you have these people that have been through this. They're now coming to the shelter. Do you know what the health department's number one problem was?
Oh, no. What?
Nobody can take a shower unless they have flip-flops.
Oh, okay, because that's our concern.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This is not the moment to do away with health standards.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you just got to go priorities.
Right.
Priorities.
Right.
We can treat like an athlete's foot outbreak.
Exactly.
We cannot let people stand around covered in whatever toxic stew this is and wait.
Exactly. This is ridiculous. So
get them in the parking lot, strip them down, try to give them some privacy best you can, hose them off. Some way or another, get that ick off.
Exactly. And that's the whole point here. And then, bringing up the Cajun Navy and, I don't know, maybe some biker gangs and, I don't know, maybe some other organizations that aren't official, they're having to run almost around FEMA. What I mean by that is FEMA's coming in and, yes, they're doing their job. We are very happy with FEMA to be actually on the ground, actually processing and actually helping. But people are donating.
Let's pause. FEMA actually is typically one of the most beloved federal agencies.
And the most useful.
And the most useful, and they are typically the most on it. But it is also why, and given what they deal with, when they screw it up, when they when they drop the ball, it's so bad.
Well, and this is the bad part. Let's bring this comment back up. Organizations have gathered money, secured chainsaws to get them into the mountains, to get them into the hollers. The other organizations that are the people that will actually use them are having to circumvent FEMA because FEMA wants to confiscate them.
Okay.
Because they need them to fill their supply.
Full weight of the government does sometimes come in handy.
Well, yes, the full weight of the government comes in handy, but it's like, we can give these to Green Berets that's never used them before, or we can put them on the back of 4x4s and get them in the hollers and get those people out. Which do we want to do today?
And sometimes there's a strong debate there.
Mm-hmm.
As in, if FEMA is in control, and yes, they are sending less experienced people to do the work,
Mm-hmm.
they at least know what they're dealing with and who they're dealing with, and they have assigned responsibilities to them.
Mm-hmm.
If you start going, so to speak, rogue,
Uh-huh.
there can be concerns that we don't know who's going where,
Mm-hmm.
to do what,
Mm-hmm.
under what, we hope are good intentions.
Right.
And not necessarily knowing
Mm-hmm.
who are these people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we could all agree that it is a great and wonderful, noble desire to go help these people, and you have the skills to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If, however, you are turning loose random people upon people who are already beset by tragedy,
Mm-hmm.
and any of those people are, have a malintent in their body,
Mm-hmm.
this could get real ugly and really bad
Mm-hmm.
really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's bad enough when you get trapped in your community,
Mm-hmm.
in your holler.
Mm-hmm.
When the people that show up to help you potentially may rape, murder, and plunder,
Yeah, I
that
don't think
would be bad.
that's not the direction here. In Cajun Navy, you're not going to have that problem with. Brothers of the Will, you're not going to have that problem with. The Good Old Boys Gang, you're not going to have that problem with. But the problem is, and this is the bigger problem, and Brenda, I'm going to have you weigh in on this because you know these roads. Which do you want? Someone from DC driving them, or you want me driving them?
I mean, it is a very difficult landscape for newbies.
Yes.
Like, West Virginia roads are one of the wildest places to turn loose new drivers.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a legitimate concern, unlike most other places in the world,
Mm-hmm.
when we license motorists,
Mm-hmm.
is these are not beginner roads. Like,
No.
you can drive around your small town community all day long.
Mm-hmm.
77 is not for novices, as many out-of-state truckers
Right.
learn, because the things you can do in other places
Mm-hmm.
that are perfectly fine, like it's a little risky, but it's perfectly fine. Everyone does it.
Right.
You are basically threading a needle,
Mm-hmm.
and if you do it wrong,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be on our 11 o'clock news.
Right. Well, but also, there's situations like we will talk about Invisible's mother. There is a way, according to Google Maps, to go to Invisible Mother's house.
Yeah, Brenda says you.
I know. And if you follow Google's map from the place she works at to her house is 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And it's a horrible way to send a truck.
It's a horrible way to send a trucker. It is a horrible way to send anybody that is not from the area.
That you don't know better. Well, and we experience a lot of this because anytime in the very southern end of 77, and I keep referencing it, anytime there's a problem, because it is more of what, when you say Appalachian,
mm-hmm.
What do you mean? Southern West Virginia, exactly what we mean.
Right.
Like, for instance, bless y'all's heart at Google. Anytime south of 77 exit 20,
right,
there is a problem.
Right.
This is the Camp Creek exit.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all want to divert people off at Camp Creek.
Mm-hmm.
The name alone should give you an idea what this area is like. But in case it doesn't, the road you are going to send them on,
mm-hmm.
one trucker,
mm-hmm.
one 18-wheeler, is all it takes to screw that road up for 4 hours.
Right. Well,
because it starts out okay.
Right.
Until you get to that first curve.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone knows, if you've ever been on this road, what curve I'm talking about. The one where I don't care what you're driving, you see the curve approaching, and oh, shit, is all you can think. Because there's a cliff face that comes out the side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a road, and there's a cliff, and it is very height narrow.
Right.
But you don't approach that curve quickly.
Right. But if you go,
certainly don't take a large truck through it.
But if you're from the area or you know the area, you can take Alderson Bottom, as long as you have a 4-wheel drive, and you can be at Mom's house in 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And the government doesn't know this. Why? Is because Google has never gone down Alderson Bottom ever.
Right.
Google has never gone over Coppice and Sight ever.
On a map, it doesn't quite make sense.
On a map, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. But typically, that's sometimes where Google has a problem, is roads that are supposed to exist.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean this, I should clarify, it's not just a Google problem. Apple Maps, any mapping software has this issue. Roads that are supposed to exist.
Right.
Roads that once existed, and roads that aren't clearly existing.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So Brenda says, I'm riding with Aeson and praying to the ancient ones. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's like, you keep referring to 77. I'm like, if 77 goes up, that ain't no big deal. We got 19, 119, 20. If we've got to go down to it, we can go down to Bolt 3. But if we're going Bolt 3 down to Southern West Virginia, make me a pot of coffee, turn on me some music, and shut the fuck up. Because you're going to see me hit 4-wheel.
No, I'm a big fan of 3.
I know you are.
Like, that was my reroute for the longest time, was I would just go to Beckley and hit 3.
Right.
And it's, now, again, there's some pre-existing knowledge you need for that road.
Uh-huh.
The first one is, you really don't want to be taking this in the middle of winter.
Right.
You really don't want to take that road.
Right.
Because if it's the least bit like inclement weather, icy, bad, it's a death trap. Like you might as well just go to the top of the mountain, grab a bobsled, and scream your way to the bottom.
Right.
It would be safer.
Right.
Than trying to operate a vehicle on it.
Right.
But especially trying to come up.
That's true. But, the old Princeton Highway that is not maintained is a type of roads that these guys are going into.
Yeah.
Because they know them. They can get in them and get out. And the government's is trying to not stop them, but take the supplies needed for them to actually go in there and get these people out within the week instead of, we might be able to get to them in a month.
No, I understand I understand. And I know that it's one of those tense situations.
Right.
Where you do have a government agency that's like, oh, let's be careful here. Who may not fully comprehend, like, you don't know the back of beyond you're going to.
Right.
This is not a beginner road. Like, I can play both sides here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't a beginner road.
Right.
This isn't a road that's clearly marked on a map. This is not an environment where you want to learn how your 4-wheel drive works.
Right.
Like, if you don't already know some things and have some skills, and especially in current conditions, you did.
Right.
You did.
Right.
You ain't saving nobody.
Right.
Like, and AAA doesn't go there.
Oh, AAA doesn't even. Okay. Story time. Story time. Okay, we have a problem with our AAA. The problem with our AAA is they think that we live in somewhere Princeton.
Well, let's back up just a hair. This isn't actually AAA, so I don't want to disparage AAA.
Right.
Would it most likely be some of the same drivers that AAA would contract out to? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
We have towing through our insurance. Our insurance agent is in Princeton.
Mm-hmm.
So they're used to most of the calls they get are local.
Yeah.
So they tend to look locally
Mm-hmm.
for tow truck drivers. We live an hour and a half north.
Right.
So this already starts to become comical. But then we get into the situation you were in, which, take it away.
So, I decided to take a lovely hike with the dogs. Me, the dogs, the car, the invisible. There's going to be an anchor point. That's great. We go down, we hike, have a lovely hike. I'm gone 3 hours, come back. He's sitting in the car. La 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 la.
Yeah. Elmo's World.
Uh-huh. So,
You've met Invisible. It's about his personality sometimes.
Oh, he is very much the Elmo's World of adulthood. Because he's oblivious.
Yeah.
I load the dogs up, I look at the tire, as I do every time I get in the car, and it's flat. We don't have the ability to change the tires on this car because it doesn't have a change of tire. Welcome to 2016 autos.
Yes.
Yes.
2016 Kia gives you a tiny little inflator and a can of run flat.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. Cute. So I call the tow truck driver. Well, I call the tow truck place. They can't find us.
Well, you had two instances because the first one is like, I don't go I don't go past Flat Top.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was their first dispatch. Called them back and said, I don't go past Flat Top.
Right.
Which, oh, sweetheart, you're still like 45 minutes from him.
No, you're still an hour away.
Whoop. Yeah. So they're out. So they redispatched.
Mm-hmm.
Second tow truck driver cannot locate you.
Right.
Don't know where to begin to locate you. What road are you on?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, road is being very generous. It's a very generous set of assumptions you have there about what a road might be.
Mm-hmm.
He is not exactly on a road per se. It is a road. It counts as a road in West Virginia. It's quite a nice, well-maintained road in West Virginia.
Uh-huh.
For where you're at.
Yes.
But the how do you get there from here is a bit complicated.
Well, it is, but it isn't. You take, Red Star, go down Red Star, turn right at Buckers, drive into the campground. And he's like, huh? I'm like, oh, God, I got a foreigner.
Literally someone who's never been there is all that is. Because it's one of those places, it's not really that hard to get to, but if you've never done it before, oh, it's daunting. This sounds like the setup to a horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, drive, just keep driving. Like there's a couple one-lane bridges. Don't worry about that. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Turn left at,
drive off the road. It'll continue onto a gravel road, follow the gravel road to the end.
Yeah, turn off onto the gravel, what looks like easement that actually turns out to be a road. You're going to kind of feel a little Thelma and Louise as you do it, but we promise there's an actual road there. Yeah. Like, no, because the first time I went, I was like, that's how you die. Like, that's not a road. That's not a road.
Yeah, you were
that looks like how you die.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, it's fine. Keep going. I go here all the time. You know, you don't drive off the road above 15 because you will take care. But anyhow. Exactly. You know, so I don't know. I think the government is dealing with country they do not know how to deal with.
It is a lot more to it than like oh, what was it? The Louisiana massive flooding, Katrina?
Yeah, Katrina.
Yeah. That's a different kind of area.
Right.
Like very significant flooding impacts, lots of very similar circumstances, I'm sure. Big difference in topography, areas you were going into. Like I'm sure in Louisiana you went to some backwoods. I'm not doubting that.
Right.
But what was your incline?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is coastal Louisiana. I assume your inclines are somewhere around here. Like you're in some version of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like West Virginia does things that it's like that's not a road.
Right.
That's not a road. That's not a appropriate road. It's supposed to switch back. We don't have room for a switchback.
Mm-hmm.
We built a road.
Yeah.
You hope your brakes work.
Exactly.
You hope that when someone drives on this, they have the intelligence to control their speed and know how to get out of like a gravel slide, for instance, because that's a little different. Do that wrong, you die.
Mm-hmm.
Like your anti-lock brake system / rollover control / anti-skid
is useless.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, no, that's the reason I had the big problem with it when we rented that car and trying to drive. Is it tried to drive for me, and it's like, get out of my way.
More so, it decided that you were trying to kill yourself and stop you.
Mm-hmm.
The road isn't there.
Right.
That's not a road.
Yeah, it is.
I don't have, like, and you're going too fast for this driveway that may exist. I'm not sure.
Right.
It is fundamentally how the car kept reacting. And it's like, oh, we're just on the way to one of my clients.
Right.
This is an hour from my house. The car is continuously trying to emergency brake for him.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, I'm sitting in the passenger seat going, I know it's been a while since he's done any distance driving. I think he done forgot how to drive.
And I am like, give me a break. But there's a way to your client's house that you don't even know.
Oh, no, there's several that I've been through.
Yeah, but there's one that I know you haven't went.
Probably haven't.
Yeah, you haven't went down New River Gorge, across Lansing, and then up.
Oh, God. You lost me.
Yeah.
No.
That car went through a total fit. Okay.
I'm not sure the SUV would be happy with me for it.
Oh, the SUV can do it. All right. So let's jump into money. What do you got in money?
So yeah, fun one. So as Grindr complaints rise, other gay dating apps try to swoop in. So yeah, that is from I believe that's from Money. I thought that was Money Story.
Yeah, it's
no, Mashable is what it looks like. Sorry, my bad. I think it popped up originally and said something about being from Money. All right, so partners, flings, and dates can now be found with a few swipes on our phone, for better or worse. This is especially true for LGBTQ people. Queer Americans are much more likely to use dating apps than straight ones, according to the Pew Research Center. Grindr launched in 2009, completely transforming dating and sex for queer men over the last 15 years. Not as much as you think.
Yeah.
The introduction of accessible apps specifically catering to the queer community, like Grindr and others, broke down significant barriers in finding fellow LGBTQ people in one's area and became a cornerstone of queer sex culture. Your mileage varies. The most well-known gay dating and hookup app, finally we use the word hookup, is still undoubtedly Grindr. However, given recent product issues and growing user frustration, other apps are vying for the new top spot. So Grindr's rise to become a household name alone showcases how far the community has come. From early 2000s Craigslist ads placed to meet other queer people looking for companionship. Oh, you're straining me here. To the largest social networking app for gay, bi, trans, and queer people, according to the app. In 2024, however, Grindr has been plagued by issues. Updates that led to serious bugs and the introduction of further paywalls. The latter includes limiting the visibility of taps, a feature indicating interest without sending a direct message, which are now only visible within 3 hours of being sent. Also, the Explore feature, allowing you to bypass the usual location-based method of seeing other users, unlocks only one profile outside of a user's grid a day, whereas it used to unlock 3. These can only be circumnavigated by purchasing a subscription. Yeah, it's just going to get worse. Okay, so, funny story. I don't know what baby wrote this or non.
Like this wasn't written by us.
So David Roskin, I don't know what you've been doing for the last 24 years. Maybe it was turning 24. But Grindr did not invent like the hookup.
No,
it really didn't. It changed it. I will grant you, it changed it. It did kind of create some uniformity, and it filled a niche,
right,
where smartphones are concerned.
Right.
But I hate to inform you. Before there was Grindr,
there's there was gay.com.
Craigslist, good reference. That was a great site for a while. But then you get into the whole, like, if you want to talk about location hookup, we've been able to do that forever.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole cruising concept you've missed out on.
Right.
Like the gays are okay. They've been okay forever.
Ever.
Like even in our local small communities, we had areas that were known for that kind of thing. Not to mention the earlier part of the 19th century and prior, we literally had quote unquote gay meccas.
Mm-hmm.
DC, Miami, like.
Yeah, I mean, they're acting like Grindr broke the record, and I'm sorry, Grindr didn't break the record.
It learned, like, it's been here. We've modified and adapted, and yes, we like it when apps come along that are, useful.
Right.
But there's a lot of you that are watching this that have never heard of a gay.com.
Right.
Or you think it's the site you're getting ready to go to when you type in gay.com. It is not.
No.
It is not. That is someone bought a very expensive web property after gay.com fell.
Right. And, they're touting Scruff. Scruff has been around. Sniffer has been around. Offer Pro Tier, whatever. Bumble has been around but sucks. Match Group, no thank you. Tinder and Hinge, come the hell on. Both of them suck. Field is aggravating.
If you're looking for relationships, which again, if you're on Grindr looking for a relationship, you've taken a wrong turn. Yeah. It's like being at Wendy's for healthy food, or insert your fast food location of choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they don't your definition of healthy is being strained horribly.
Right. And this article stretches this bullshit. And I think that this is more so trying to, and I almost want to look and see if it's paid for. Like, was it paid for by Match Group?
Oh, as a hit piece?
Yeah. No, it hasn't been.
Oh, the column reflects the opinion of the author is the only postscript they really added, as well as dating app users choose to go by their first names only for privacy reasons, as a reference somewhere in the article.
Right.
So that's our two.
Right. I call this article bullshit. Like, stop misleading the community. Stop trying to push the heteronormative.
Well, more to the point, like, yeah, Grindr's under fire for crap they're pulling.
Right.
Like, and
the
gay community is not going to collapse because Grindr falls.
Exactly. But we've seen it from the rest of them. I mean, gay.com done the same thing.
Yeah.
Barefallen done the same thing.
The sky's falling. The sky's falling.
Right. Well, they've all introduced these paywalls, and it's like, dude, I'm not paying for it from you or to anybody else.
Well, but gay.com did remain functional till just about the end. Like, you didn't have to pay. Paying was nice. You didn't have to.
Right.
But no, and then there was a massive sky is falling when Craigslist floundered. Because it was unwittingly, unfortunately, I don't know the right words to use there. Basically being used for sex trafficking. Well, and so their whole connection section went haywire.
Well, no, it moved sections. For those that don't know, it's now under misconnections. You know, people are always looking for plumbers and carpenters.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was, and it's still there. Like, Craigslist is still there. It's still, like, has a function. But they ripped out all the personals.
Right.
And quote-unquote connections section. Misconnections was the one being the most abused in the beginning. And it started reading weird.
Right.
Like, it was already a weird section, like, and that's even in newspapers, okay? Like, some of y'all don't know, newspapers used to have all these things that are on Craigslist in the newspaper. It was personals and adverts, and, like, you could do, like, relationships, like, the whole thing. There, it was there.
Right.
So, and that's what it was modeled off of. But, like, then it started filtering over into the personal side from misconnections, which misconnections, again, kind of a creepy place to begin with.
Right.
Like, and I don't care how far back you go in newsprint.
Right.
It's still kind of creepy at times. I saw you today. You were looking really hot. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know if you saw me or if you're interested, but here's my number. And, I mean, yeah, some people find their soulmate from that, usually with someone who's also kind of weird. Because you got to be kind of weird to, like, read the misconnection section. Like, it reads really weird. It will creep you out.
Right.
Like, it will make you scared to death to go in public looking like trash ever, ever, ever again. Right. Because this is the flip side. Everyone's watching.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you know, sometimes I'm just going and, you know, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. But, you know, I'm tired of the sky is falling. I'm tired of this. You know, if you're looking to date, go date. There are lovely sites out there for it. There's now, what is that one? That, you know, you have to verify your ID and everything else. Archer, I think it was filling my feed.
Oh, I know. I is it just me, or am I becoming one of the apt out people?
No, I don't think it's just you. Like, we were talking about this the other day.
Like, I don't get me wrong. I think idealistically,
Mm-hmm.
the app wasn't a bad idea. Gay.com wasn't a bad idea.
Right.
A lot of these things were not bad ideas. Online dating in general was not a bad idea, as horrified as it was in the beginning.
Yeah,
it was villainized and demonized, and like, oh my God, you people are crazy.
Right.
But at some point, it really starts to feel like you're browsing an online catalog on Amazon that never ends.
Right.
And so the way we start to choose people or look at people is like we're trying to buy product.
Right.
And it's kind of like, is shipping and handling included? Is this really what it's going to look like? Or is this going to be one of those wish.com things?
Right.
Like, there's that. People don't work that way.
Right.
It really doesn't. It does not work.
Right.
Like, it can if you go in with the right attitude, but if you get jaded on it, all you're doing is scrolling and sitting alone.
Right. And continuing to set alone.
And you can really start to become a really judgmental prick.
Well, thank you.
No, I mean when you're just endlessly scrolling the app.
Right.
Like you start to get really super judgmental about people that you don't know.
Right.
Like it can become a wild conversation sometimes.
Well, and it can be, and it continues to be.
But I have noticed the one group that seems to still be okay really are older gays. Like, they kind of still treat it like a augmentation of everything they knew before.
Right.
Like it's just one more piece.
Exactly. They treat it almost like Facebook.
A little bit.
Yeah. Now, this is a story that hit the news feed, and I'm like, okay, this is a lot. Okay, we all know Kim Kardashian went and took the bar in California. Hell, I'm thinking about going and taking the bar in California because I could then become Esquire also. Okay. But this is like the second or third within this past month of doco series that have come out. Now Kim Kardashian is sharing her opinion on Eric and Lionel Mendez. Do you remember them, honey?
Yeah, the Eric and Lionel Menendez trial.
Yeah,
I don't know how you couldn't. Like, if you were alive, because wasn't that one of the biggest moments after OJ?
Yeah,
that was, it really created court TV. Like, we were there, for every minute.
Yeah.
Because again, and I guess we have to point this out. We've gotten really accustomed to the idea that, like most major trials, are televised. You can watch it streaming. You can watch it on court TV. You can watch it anywhere.
Right.
I believe it was the O.J. Simpson trial that first brought up the idea that we wanted cameras in the courtroom to watch this.
Yes.
And that is the foundation of court TV. And like the fact there was a market for this and people wanted it. We didn't just want to listen to the nightly news recap. We wanted it minute by minute.
Right.
Every single minute. We wanted the whole thing.
Right.
And it was an experience.
Right.
Because no one knew what this was or how it was going to work.
Right.
And it was like there were whole hearings.
Right.
Just about how to make this work.
Right.
And then, yeah, after that, I think that was the next big trial.
Right.
Because I want to say they were almost the same. Within the same.
No, they made court TV. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Well, anyway, Kim Kardashian has been calling for them to be exonerated. There's there's two docuseries. The judges are possibly looking at reopening the case because apparently there was evidence of abuse that was suppressed and wasn't allowed to be heard by the jury. Rosie O'Donnell says they might be freed and they can be freed in as soon as 30 days from Vanity. What's your thoughts?
I have to go all the way back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Which for me it was never a trial that sat well.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like all of it was so weird.
Right.
Like, I mean, like, yeah, okay, because Dad got really into this, as did, like, everyone at the time.
Right.
But, and I know I keep referencing it, but, like, with the OJ trial,
right,
we kind of all sat there knowing he fucking did it.
Right.
Like, I don't think anyone was convinced that he didn't do it.
Right.
They just weren't fully convinced that the evidence supported,
right,
beyond a reasonable doubt,
right,
that he 100% did it.
Mm-hmm.
But then we move over to like the Menendez trial, and it was just weird.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing made any real sense.
Right.
And it just kind of, it's not really that we were all confident they didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But we were really struggling with how all of this pieced together.
Right.
Now, granted, this is early days.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, but even in our like lack of knowledge, awareness, whatever, skill, ability,
right.
Like we're not long-term watchers. Like the most we had was Judge Wapner.
Hey, he was good.
Yeah, I know, but 15-minute trials kind of make things, quick and easy. Like days of trial. This is a little harder.
I'll tell you who. Let me open my YouTube. I have to tell you who, because you brought up and I've been watching a Texas judge, and I've timed her. I think that she can literally end a trial in 20 minutes.
Oh,
Judge Boyd out of Judge Boyd. Yeah, she flies through that case in less than 8.
Okay, but let's talk about back then.
Yeah,
okay, this is what we knew. This is everything we knew of the criminal justice system. We had cops.
Mm-hmm.
We had unsolved mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
We had Judge Wapner.
Mm-hmm.
We had night court.
Right.
If you want to count it.
Right.
LA Law.
Mm-hmm.
Which was total mess.
Right.
At least in terms of like legal, like it was really like funny and like intriguing, but it was so unfactual.
Right.
Then we had Matlock.
Right.
Some of us still remember like old reruns of Perry Mason.
Mm-hmm. And we had
like,
Nancy Grace.
Everything we knew.
Well, Nancy Grace.
Nancy Grace. She, I thought, only came to prominence right at that moment. Like I will not detract from her. Like she was right there with Court TV, building it all together. But I don't remember her before that. Like she became real popular.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like she wasn't there, and then she was.
Mm-hmm.
It was like. But still, that's all we were going on.
She launched right around the same time.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. If you're talking about like prior to like Simpson and Menendez, the big trials that made Court TV, we had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the closest we got to like really feeling confident we knew something about the law was probably Judge Wapner.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right. So
that's it.
Right. Anyway, LA is looking at new evidence. The judge has allowed some new evidence to be checked out.
Mhm.
There is apparently a whole different case that the defense had that the judge just wouldn't let ride, would not enter. Talk of SA, talk of other things that occurred, because it made no sense why these boys suddenly went crazy. So I think that we will probably see another Menendez retrial. Right. So, but no, Kim Kardashian stuck her nose into it. We've got at least 3 new docu-series that have come out. Some contested, some non-contested.
Oh yeah, and then there's that whole Ryan Murphy, Menendez brothers thing.
Right.
Which that,
Mm-hmm.
from everything I've read, if you want to watch it for entertainment,
Right.
go enjoy.
Right.
If you want it for any like factual basis, run for the hills, run.
Right.
That is not what Ryan Murphy did. He got the full Ryan Murphy, let's make it gay treatment.
Right. And that's something he's been doing, and I'm getting annoyed with it.
There's a certain part of me that thinks he's a genius.
Well, there's a certain part of me that's like, dude, knock it the hell off. Okay, because he didn't Dahmer, which there's a whole, like, yes, gay, please gay it up. Like, I'm tired of it whitewashing that history, because that is half the reason Dahmer got away with it was because he was eating men.
Right. Well, and a certain kind of man.
Exactly.
But no, well, and that's not even the whole problem. Is a lot of what Ryan Murphy does sexualizes, and it's like there is like that is a creative direction you went, not inherently the story that was there.
Right.
And then you basically made a multi-part, multiple hour like sex tape. Basically. Right. That's the Ryan Murphy treatment. Now, right. I will say though, the reason I think he's a genius though, he seems to know how to ride this razor edge and really pissing people off.
Right.
But we're fucking watching.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you can guarantee, like, the 2 Ryan Murphy things you can guarantee. Right. He will piss you off.
Right.
You will still watch.
Right.
It's kind of genius.
Right.
But it's a razor edge, and he rides it. Give the fans that just like the content that he creates what they want. One hand, and just tick people off enough.
Right.
To talk about me incessantly.
Right.
So everything I do has instant PR. Ryan Murphy takes a fart.
Right.
We'll get news coverage.
Right.
Just saying. Anyhow.
I don't know. I think that would be wild. Of course, Murdoch got his, has to hold to his plea deal. His appeal in federal court has been denied. We're still waiting to see what North Carolina does with his other one, his murder case. So that's been interesting. All right. So that leaves us with what? Oh, this one. EU nations must recognize legal gender changes across the bloc. Top court rules. I think this is great.
Okay, I'm behind a paywall, so you gotta tell.
Okay. All right, so here's the basis of it. The court sided with, and I'm not going to pronounce the name, a transgender male who sued his home country of Romania for refusing to accept gender identity changes he initiated in Britain. And European Union's top court ruled Friday that the member states must recognize legalized gender changes to gender identities processed elsewhere within the EU. In the case with far-reaching implications, gender people across Europe can keep their gender that is documented. This is really big because Romania violated his rights. There's going to be some standings there, but this pushes it across all of EU.
Yeah. Well, more importantly, it talks to the foundational part of that and the real struggle that can exist there.
Right.
That like if you kind of put it into like a U.S. perspective, if you are in West Virginia,
right,
and you change your gender,
right,
have that formally changed, and then boop, you're in Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland. Very quick, easy places to get to from West Virginia. And suddenly you have to prove your identity with documents that are in mismatch.
Right.
Because your gender doesn't appear the same.
Right. Nor your name.
And you now have to refight this battle to either change your gender or try to explain all this. Would you leave home?
No.
Or would you feel confined to the one state in the U.S. that currently recognizes your gender?
Right. But then we look at, the EU in itself is supposed to have accepting terms of legalization. I mean, they all basically have the same laws. But, obtaining gender reassignment certificates vary widely within the EU. Some countries, including Belgium, Ireland, Spain, permit people to self-declare. Other countries, such as Cyprus, Slovakia, and Slovenia, require sterilization or surgical intervention. Belgium and Hungary, meanwhile, do not allow gender changes to gender to change at all. So this is applying that no, in Romania, you're male. In other countries, you're a male as long as you're part of the EU.
Which is a step in the right direction. It's not the total universal acknowledgement. But no, there are a lot of issues that and it's very, it's not just the name change.
Right.
Like,
there's
horrible videos of what can happen just trying to, if you just do the name change. And the gender identity claim, even if you specify, or are willing to specify that this is a change of gender, when you book that ticket is for your assigned at birth gender that has not been changed, and you can run into some very, very angry airline people who go, "Whoa, I have two different conflicting things here." And they will potentially not make your trip a very long or necessarily nice one.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's insane, the 1,000,001 paper cuts
that continue to happen, and I think that's the harder point. It's like you change your name, you change your gender, and you keep having to redo it.
And that's on top of all the other things that go with it. Again, it's 1,000,001 paper cuts. One, just because the amount of paperwork. But two, just the tiniest little things. Like, you think it's a bathroom debate. That's like down the list. Try to get a driver's license. Try to file your taxes properly. Try to,
do any of it.
Deal with the nightmare of your employer and health insurance and medical treatment and
all of it. All right, guys, let's take a break.
Love diving into metaphysical topics, psychic insights, and lively discussions? Now you can help keep the conversation going. By becoming a Patreon supporter of The Psychic Coffee Shop, you'll gain access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and special perks just for our patrons. Join our community and ensure that your favorite psychic show continues to thrive. Your support helps us bring more enlightening episodes, special guests, and deep dives into the world of the unseen. Become a patron today and enjoy a cup of wisdom with us every week. Click the link to join the baristas and unlock exclusive content. Thank you for your support.
Unlock your full potential with Aeson Knight's life coaching. Are you ready to take control of your life and manifest the future you deserve? Aeson Knight, a seasoned life coach and master psychic, is here to guide you on a transformative journey. Whether you're navigating personal challenges, career transitions, or seeking spiritual growth, Aeson's life coaching services offer tailored guidance to help you achieve your goals. With Aeson by your side, you'll discover the tools to overcome obstacles, embrace your true self, and create a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. His unique blend of spiritual insight and practical coaching empowers you to turn your dreams into reality. Ready to make a change? Book your session today and start your journey to a more empowered, balanced, and joyful life with Aeson Knight. Click the link to schedule your first session and step into your power.
Are you ready for an electrifying podcast experience that keeps you coming back for more? Join Aeson Knight every week as he takes you on a journey through captivating shows, each exploring unique and fascinating topics. And here's the best part. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode where you can get your burning questions answered live on air, absolutely free. Whether it's relationship advice, career guidance, or mystical insights, Aeson's podcasts have got you covered. When you subscribe, you become part of a vibrant community, engaging directly with Aeson as he shares his wisdom and leaves you feeling empowered and enlightened. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation. What you'll get by subscribing: Monday 5 p.m. Metaphysics. Today, soulful conversations with Aeson Knight and Firefly, exploring the essence of metaphysics in today's world. Tuesday 8 p.m. The Psychic Coffee Shop. Dive into current events with a psychic twist, featuring special guests and thought-provoking discussions. Friday 9 p.m. The Mountain Bears Podcast. Lively discussions from a gayish, techy-ish, bearish perspective with Aeson and Joe. Sunday 5 p.m. Psychic That Plans. Get a weekly tarot energy overview and time management tips from Aeson Knight. Click here to subscribe now and never miss an episode. By subscribing, you're not just tuning in, you're joining a community of curious minds and ensuring you're always in the loop with Aeson's insightful and interactive shows. Don't wait. Hit that subscribe button and get ready for an amazing podcast journey.
Ready for an enchanting journey of self-discovery? Join Lord Aeson Knight in our Wicca courses. Unveil the secrets of Wicca. Explore deity relationships, rituals, and more. As a third-degree high priest, Aeson Knight guides you toward empowerment and enlightenment. Enroll today and take your first step into the magical circle. Click the link to begin your journey.
Psychic Saturday. Get 50% off with Aeson Knight every third Saturday of the month. Don't miss out. Book now.
Right. Welcome back. All right, honey. So what do you got for an asshole event?
Am I the asshole for refusing to pay my friend's share of the bill after she forgot her wallet? A few days ago, I went out to dinner with a group of friends. We had a good time, and at the end of the meal, the bill came. One of my friends, Sarah, suddenly said she had forgotten her wallet at home. This isn't the first time something like this has happened, but it's never been with me directly. She usually does this with other friends. Everyone was pretty quiet, and I could tell they were waiting for someone to offer to cover her. I didn't say anything at first, but when Sarah looked at me, I kind of awkwardly said, "I can't cover you, sorry." She seemed shocked and said she would pay me back tomorrow. I still said I couldn't because I'm not comfortable covering other people's expenses, especially when this has happened before. She got upset, saying she felt embarrassed and that I was making her look bad in front of our friends. One of our other friends ended up paying her share, but the whole mood shifted. Afterwards, she also texted me later on saying I was out of line and should have just helped her out since it was, quote, only a small amount. Some of my friends are on her side, saying I could have just covered her since she promised to pay me back, while others agree that it's not my responsibility, especially since she has a history of doing this.
I don't think you're the asshole.
I feel like this is an info one, because I could go two minds of it.
Right.
Some people are notoriously forgetful and just walk out of the house, and it's a miracle they have pants. Okay?
Right.
And some days are just like that. And I've gone through them where I've shown up places, and it's like, wallet? What wallet?
Right.
Though typically I've been really good about not walking myself into quite this far.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where it's like all the way through the middle. But I can understand if you're carrying a purse, that could happen.
Right.
A little easier for people who carry their wallets in pockets.
Right.
I can quickly figure out, oh, crap.
Right.
Like, now, if you want to talk about getting to the front of the store and realizing I don't have my wallet, that has occurred.
Right.
Usually it's somewhere in the car. But I've had to drive all the way home for it.
Right.
So, I mean, things happen. You get distracted. Like, depending upon what's going on in her life, this may all be innocent. But here's where I can flip the other direction is, what specifically have these friends said? Because you're not making that clear.
Right.
Are we talking about, like, she pulls this stunt to get a free meal and then never pays people back? In which case, I'm totally down with what she did.
Yeah.
Nope, sorry, not going to be the person who pays for you to eat out. That's not the deal.
Every time.
If you're going to do this every time we go out to eat, I'm not covering you.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't afford to eat out or you don't like to pay, that's a you problem.
And that's a problem that needs to be addressed to them and be like, no, we're not doing this again. You're either giving me a debit card to keep up for you for when you go out, but this is becoming apparently a repetitive thing for there to be resistance.
Well, see, but here's the thing is I'm debating whether someone's heard that she pulls this stunt in terms of forgetting her wallet. Just that part. And might be reading more into that than reality is.
Right.
And then at that point, I think you have to be very careful about calling yourself friends with someone.
Right.
I mean,
and this is me, in my opinion, and a lot of people don't like my opinion. There are associates, people that commonly connect with each other. They may not be friends, but they're part of the same circle of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are friends. And I think that this person is probably more of an associate that has a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And, you need to draw some guidelines there.
I think I'm going to ultimately go it's a dill pickle.
Okay. I'm going to go that you're not the asshole.
I think maybe you're overclaiming friends. I think maybe you got some things going on there. So Brenda says, first time or only happens a couple of times I'd pay. All the time, maybe they'll let you wash the dishes. Plus, does she actually pay them back? If she does, I would probably pay for her. See, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, if your firsthand experience is 0, which is the way this reads, you know she's done it to other people, but it's never happened to you.
Right.
Okay, then I think for most people I know, I'll spot you $20-$30 once. Right. I've always found loaning people money is the quickest way to get rid of people that aren't worth being in your life. I personally love when people don't pay me back.
Right.
As long as you know that means stay the fuck away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes $20 is all it takes to get rid of people.
That may be cheaper than most.
Am I the only one that's had people that took you on a carpet ride and just, like, we saw the world. And, like, may have on paper seemed like good friends, but then had someone that, like, for $5
Mm-hmm.
just to borrow a $5 can instantly self-evacuate from your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not going to pay me back $5. I don't trust you.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't doing anything else for you or with you.
All right.
$5 is enough for me to term a friendship. Right there. I'm just saying.
Exactly. All right. So the poll is up. You can go ahead and vote on that. And we have a poly advice question.
Ooh. So our poly brings us trying to be a good hinge backfire. I, female 44, have been dating Joe, male 44, for about 6 months. Not the same. I'm younger.
Yes.
And not dating a 44-year-old female. Anyway, so I've been dating Joe, male 44, for about 6 months. Joe is really busy, and I respect that. Most of our dates have been late night hangs arranged last minute when free time opens up. That said, we recently had 2 lovely weekends with lots of time spent together, and the relationship is deepening. My nesting partner expressed that they'd really like to have more notice before dates, if possible. They'd make other plans if they knew I was going to be out. I get it, but it doesn't work well for this other relationship, but I said I would do my best. I started trying to nail down more exact times with Joe, and this unleashed my insecurities. When Joe couldn't come through on what I was asking, I just kept asking. Like, no self-control. It felt bad. I felt bad. Especially, I said as much to Joe that I felt really sad that we couldn't seem to set aside any planned time for the 2 of us. This was all over the course of just a week or so. Joe responded kindly, saying that he misses me, but that he has a lot going on and needs to take care of himself, and that we should talk about it all in person sometime soon. All very reasonable. But I feel crappy. I was feeling very secure in this relationship, and I just feel like I backtracked on my own development, and I'm just awash with insecurity now that this talk will result in him saying he doesn't have time for this relationship. Oh, just sad. Thanks for listening.
The solution is you invite them both to a damn Google Calendar and you tell everyone, this is my Google Calendar. Fill it in as you like. Your color is this color, your color is this color, and be done with it. Honey, if you're going to date polyamorous, you got to get used to the technology.
Like, I'm not opposed to what you're saying.
Okay.
But I think there's a bigger issue at play here. And
Right.
I'm wondering if this isn't just one of those OP's caught in the middle of like 2 people with very different lives.
Mm-hmm.
One of whom made a general statement,
Mm-hmm.
and one of whom really just can't do that right now.
Right.
And that, like, in the middle is OP trying to do their best, and unfortunately taking what one partner said and putting a lot of emphasis on it with the other, and kind of snowballing a problem.
Right.
As in, like, if you go back to what OP's nesting partner said,
Right.
they'd really like to have more notice before dates if possible.
Right.
They'd make other plans if they knew I was going to be out, is what nesting partner said.
Right.
I can understand that. Like,
Right.
that's a simple musing aloud that it feels like, you're kind of dropping me to go hang out with them on a moment's notice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I didn't plan anything because I thought we were spending time together. But if I knew that you were going,
Mm-hmm.
I would have also planned something, and then it wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
You were doing your thing, I was doing my thing, we were doing things.
Right.
I don't think there was a lot of, like, I think you overweighted that. Just a hair.
Right.
Creating the stress, because this is a week. This is a week.
Right.
You put a lot of stress onto a partner you already knew was kind of, you know, playing it by ear.
Right.
That the best they can do right now
Mm-hmm.
is, I'll see what I can do.
Right.
I'll try to let you know a little ahead.
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing.
And I think that
Oh, go ahead.
And I think that on the other side of those,
Mhm.
OP will say nesting partner, because I think they say nesting partner,
Mm-hmm.
can easily go, oh, you're out next Thursday. Or, oh, it looks like that you have, you know, if they're putting OP into the schedule,
Mm-hmm.
then it's a lot easier.
I think this was one of those, like, if all three sat down
Mm-hmm.
and really expressed themselves,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think nesting partner is really going to have that big of a problem as long as Joe
Mm-hmm.
can at least give a clue, like, is this your life
Right.
forever,
Uh-huh.
or is this where you are right now and it's the best you got?
Right.
Because I think sometimes, especially when you're the hinge,
Mm-hmm.
you are trying to manage competing interests at points.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, a nesting partner says, well, I really wish, you know, I knew.
Right.
And the person you're with is like, I've got 5 minutes next week, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. Are you available? And those are competing interests. Like, or can be, especially if you're gonna, like, blow off for, you know,
Mhm.
Joe, and just go, well, the nesting partner will be there when I get back.
Right.
So you do have to try to figure out how to manage that, and like, are you being fair?
Right.
Like, what are you blowing off to go do with Joe
Mm-hmm.
that your nesting partner thought you were going to do?
Right.
Is it even really that your nesting partner feels blown off?
Right.
Or is it just like, well, I'm just kind of sitting here because I don't have someone I can be like, oh, I've got this weekend free.
Right.
Or is it even just that the nesting partner is sitting here going, I don't want to do this forever.
Right.
Like, I can hang in there for 6 months, a year, a couple years, if that's, like, just how their life's running.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to live like this.
Right.
Where I can't really make a plan because if my meta pops up and says, oh, I got this weekend free, you want to go?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really seem to matter whether that works for me or not.
Right.
I think I would almost have more advice for the nesting partner,
Okay.
which is stop waiting for OP to tell you their plans.
Right.
Create your own.
Yeah.
And
I
then
agree
you're
with
not
that.
necessarily in this, you know, back and forth. It sounds like nesting partner is just kind of not really availing themselves
Mm-hmm.
of opportunities or looking for opportunities until they're in the situation that they don't have OP there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so you're creating a little bit of your own problem potentially.
Oh, I totally agree they are.
And then for, you know, OP, like, breathe. Just because your partner, or either of them, which this sounds like a wondering out loud,
Right.
doesn't mean you have to go fix it.
Right.
Sometimes you have to figure out what it
Yeah.
is. What is it? What is it a problem? Is it a wondering aloud? Is it, this is really irritating me, and by God, I will pack my shit and leave?
Right.
Like, where is it?
Mm-hmm.
And then what is it? What do you need?
Right.
What do you need? What kind of forewarning do you need?
Right.
A couple hours? A couple of days? A week? And then kind of bringing in your other partner, Joe, and go, where are we and what are we doing with this? Like, is this just how it's going to run till death do you part? Or is this like a period in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And you also want to move into, like, I have a weekend next month.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go do this. Can you do it? Or do I need to rearrange? Or are you just unavailable? And like, we can have a more planned, less, booty call, because this is kind of sounds how it's going.
Right.
Relationship.
Right. And sometimes you have to also talk. And I don't understand why people have such a big trouble here with metas talking. And this has been a common theme with a lot of these questions. Like, most of my metas deal with themselves.
To a degree, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the way we've always handled it. I don't do this, talk to Joe, talk to Invisible, talk to Kid, talk to Joe, figure it out between the three of you. What are we ordering for pizza?
Yeah, no, we can figure out pizza.
Yeah.
But then there are sometimes, and this could be one of them, situations where it's like, it's your relationship, it's your puppy. You clean up after the puppy.
Right.
The puppy is shedding all over my life.
Exactly.
You go clean up your puppy.
Right.
Puppy made mess on carpet, you go clean up mess.
Right. But if I'm doing something with you, example, we're going to Kobe on Wednesday. It's in the calendar. Everyone knows where I am on Wednesday and who I'm with on Wednesday. No one's going to message and go, hey, I just got off work early. Do you want to go hang out?
Well, but then there's also the realities that, like, we have a standing day.
Right.
Like, and it's just it's one thing if it's like, you're taking me to Char Grill.
Uh-huh.
Which, if we book that, like, that's going to be a once in a, like, we haven't done it yet experience. Mm-hmm. So if that's on the calendar as you're taking me to Char Grill, I'm sorry, I don't care what your emergency is. Mm-hmm. I have him from the time of our reservation through dessert.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a problem before or after that, but not during.
Exactly.
But if it's like, we just kind of go to Kobe every week because we do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be all that upset if someone's like, hey, I just got off of work. Do you want to go grab dinner?
Mm-hmm.
I can swing by Kobe on my own. I can go somewhere else. I can do something else. If they don't often get off of work at a time that would allow them to go out and eat with you.
Right.
I can very quickly be like, oh, no. Y'all go.
Right. But
we'll go next week. We went last week. I don't care.
Right.
I like the consistency, but it doesn't mean we have to, like, if we miss one, oh my God, we broke it, and it's irreparable.
Exactly. But at the same time, like, that would be a rare instance.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but again,
another way, I don't know. Maybe we have set it up differently than a lot of the other communities. It's like,
well, I think some people
go and do Kobe together. All 3 or 4 or 5 of us.
Yeah,
well,
that's
4 of us. One of us won't eat Kobe.
Well, yeah. But I think there's also, I think, a lot more wiggle room. Like, I'm not that stressed out about missing a Kobe.
Right.
Like, we can go Thursday or Tuesday or Saturday. There's many other days. It's not, don't get us wrong. We love Kobe. If you're in the Bayville area and you're looking somewhere to eat, Kobe Asian Fusion, please go there. They're amazing. We love them.
Right.
But we go there a lot.
Yeah.
And so missing one that, we loosely plan it every Wednesday.
Right.
I'm okay. It's not the end of my world. You're not taking something massive away from me.
Right. But
Okay,
being gone,
we'll go
but the other side of that, and what this, nesting partner is dealing with is you've done been gone 2 weekends with short notice. You didn't even tell me until Saturday morning you were taking off.
Okay.
Okay. And the next weekend, you take off Saturday morning. You don't come back till Monday afternoon. Give me some notice. I might want to have veal for the weekend.
There's a lot of things I can do, but not when I just find out randomly on a Saturday morning, oh, I'm taking off for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
What?
What?
I think the worst situation right now, especially being a one-car household with 3 people in it, would be if you woke up Saturday morning and were like, I'm taking off to Florida.
Right.
Okay, how you getting there? Oh, I'm taking the car.
Right.
No, you're not.
Right.
The hell you are.
Right.
I'm not sitting here stuck for the entire weekend. Different plan. Find a different plan.
Right.
So some of this to OP is police your own activity. Camp in, camp out. Are you in this? Is what your nesting partner potentially saying? There's some considerations.
Right. You
haven't really made that might go beyond what they've actually said.
Right.
Just saying.
Right.
All right. So how's our poll?
Oh, let's go check our poll. Oop. Oh.
Ooh, it went places?
No, you are not the asshole.
Oh, everyone went on the not the asshole.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Very, very cool. All right, guys. We will be back at 6 p.m. on Sunday to plan our week. You guys can see how this week went because we transferred into a new system. So until then, we'll see y'all later. Bye, y'all.
Hey, we got some peoples.
Yes, you got some peoples.
Yeah, so of course we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Caitlin Bell, Devin, Bella, and Maria Meyer. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes, and we will see you guys on Sunday. Bye, y'all.
Bye.